Hello, friend. Welcome back to the weekly live series from Lawyers Design School. It's legal design thinking in real life. My name is Hannele Korhonen, and I'm the CEO and founder of Lawyers Design School. And we are on a mission to transform the legal space with human-centered design, which is better known as legal design. I'm teaching you how to add a creative and human touch in your everyday work so that you can be the lawyer that your clients and the world needs you to be. Today, our topic is all about big C. And by big C, I mean the word change. And more specifically, I'm going to talk about change in law, whether it means change in your work as a lawyer, in your practice, in your legal team, or in your organization, all the way to the change in the legal space and its culture. To keep it practical, I will tie all this down to the work we do in Lawyers Design School, the foundation of our workshops and programs and the framework and the tools we teach. All of this is developed over the years working with lawyers and legal teams all over the world. So you will get a sneak peek to our school as well. The purpose today is to share our experiences and learnings on how change actually happens versus the way we many times start out and give up when we get stuck and it's just not working. Because you see that there is a key to success when it comes to making the change in law, and I will tell you all about it today. Let me start with a story. Back in the day when we were doing the first legal design workshops in Lawyers Design School, testing the concept and everything, one of the first exercises I asked the participants to do was a user interview. And if you're not familiar with the design process, the process always starts with the user, getting to understand the user's struggles and needs in relation to the change that you are working on. And when this user research is done right, it means that you will involve the user in one way or the other to the process, so that it's not just you assuming things on your client's behalf based on your own experiences and biases. So in these first workshops, after explaining all this background about design process and the importance of user research, I gave home assignments for the participants. They were supposed to do at least one interview to practice the interviewing and also to get some data for us to work on in the next workshop. And we at Lawyers Design School had created simple templates for the interview, guidelines on good questions to ask, and even scripts on what to say, because lawyers like to be prepared. There were instructions on how to build a good rapport and how to move away from fact-finding, which is the lawyer way of doing the interviews, to invite storytelling, which is a designerly approach to the interview. So this information was all given out, and I figured that we're all good and set to go, easy peasy. The next time we met with the participants, I was really excited to hear about the interviews and ready to guide us through the process of analyzing the data together. But when I asked everyone to share their home assignments, there was dead silence. No one had actually done the interviews. There were no experiences to share, and there wasn't any data that we could work on. So I was quite surprised what had happened. And when we started to dive deeper, it turned out that the assignment was too ambitious. It was too much for the lawyers to do a full-blown interview right off the bat, even when they acknowledged the importance of the user data and really wanted to do it. And even if they were quite used to talking to their clients, asking questions and gathering data. But for the design assignment, it was such a completely different experience. The goal was different, their role was different in the discussion, and even the language that they were supposed to be using was different. So the leap from the current reality to the new, the change, was too big and scary. After this insight, we had to go back and change the assignment, of course. We thought long and hard about the essence of the user interview. What is the core, and what could be the most simple way to get started with that? Next version of the assignment was called Bring This Up in a Conversation. So that was the simplified version of the user interview. Bring this up in a conversation. And we created a new set of guidelines and a template for that. Encourage the lawyers to start with familiar faces, like family and friends and colleagues. Go with the option that seems the least intimidating right now. The idea was to make it as easy as possible for the lawyers to start talking to their clients, just to practice the new way of approaching the client discussions, where asking their experiences is the essence rather than finding out cold facts. This new tool is now in use in our trainings, and it has made all the difference. The actions needed for the change seem much more doable right now with it. And this story illustrates so well the beauty and effectiveness of going simple and scrappy first. Simple does not mean dumbing down. It's actually much harder to come up with the simple way of doing something rather than going for the complex. To simplify means that you need to really nail down the essence of the change that you are trying to make, whether it's a user-friendly contract or a new way to serve your clients or a new way of working for you and your team or something else. You need to figure out what feels the easiest and the most doable way for you to proceed, all judgment aside. And then start with that simple one, doing the first crappy versions to test it out and then make it better as you learn what is working and what is not working. Because movement is the most important thing here. Get things going and then change direction when needed. If you start too big of a change project and try to do it all perfectly at once, the chances are that you never get started in the first place. The whole analysis paralysis dilemma right there. So this philosophy, something simple first, is the foundation of Lawyers Design School programs. In order to make the design process and the tools accessible for lawyers and legal professionals, we have simplified them. They need to feel doable and impactful and inspiring so that lawyers will actually do the work and implement the change in practice. So here comes the question for you. When you think about the change that you have been wanting to make in your own work, what could be the MVP, the minimum viable product of that change? If you didn't have to get it all done perfectly at once, what could be the simple version to get started with? Then another important insight we have gained from our work with lawyers and legal teams is that the biggest change happens when it's rooted in the everyday work. I've run a number of development projects as a corporate lawyer, and they can be incredibly beneficial. It's very good that you have a dedicated team working on a project for a limited amount of time, a project that has a clear beginning and a clear end. And if it's a successful project, the results can be significant. At the same time, the implementation of the project results throughout the organization can be super challenging and painful. How do you get people on board with your great ideas? People who have not been involved in the projects do not change anything in their everyday work, either because they don't want to or simply because they don't know how. Many times it's also a question of time. Chronically busy lawyers do not have time to initiate or take part in big development projects, as exciting as they could be. Just think about any new tool your organization has taken into use. How many of them are actually in use, and how many are just sitting idle on the desktops waiting for the users to find them? So the secret to success is to root the change in everyday work. Aim to change those small moments when a lawyer makes the decision which application they will open or which kind of language they will use in their email response. These smallest of moments are actually the biggest ones, as they add up to the biggest impact and biggest results. At Lawyers Design School, we work on these big, small moments and give tools to, for example, ask better questions, to simplify your work products, and to communicate better. And the results are impactful and made to last. Now, think about the change that you are aiming for. How could you make it fit in the everyday reality of you and your team? A third insight about successful change relates to action over planning. All change needs planning for sure, but at some point that plan needs to come alive in action. When you think about the story I shared in the beginning, you could think that I should have planned the assignment better, that the failure or the learning experience was due to bad planning. I should have figured it out even before the workshops that the assignments is not going to work. You know, the shame response we get from our brains when something doesn't work as intended. Sure, maybe I could have figured that out eventually, but maybe not. I had to put the assignment to the real life test to learn whether it works or not. You do not know what you need to know until you have tried it out. And I get that planning feels like taking actions for your change, but it's very easy to get stuck in the planning phase, and then it actually turns to procrastination. Could have, would have, should have. The truth is that your plans don't change anything. Only the action that follows will make the change happen. In Lawyers Design School's programs, the learnings are all about action. It's all about doing. You apply everything you learn in your own work and make your own versions of it. Because this is where the change and growth happens, through experimenting in practice and seeing results for yourself. And that is what we want for you, to lead the change in law. Our promise is to give you the tools to do it. Now that you think about your own change, have you done enough planning already? What's the next step you need to take to move into action? So there you have it. How can you change the law with the Lawyers Design School way? Simple changes and big impact. If you're interested in learning more about Lawyers Design School and our programs, go to lawyersdesignschool.com and dig in. We will be launching a contract design school this fall, so stay tuned. Now it's your turn. What did you learn today? Be sure to follow the next episodes where I will be sharing more insight on legal design thinking in real life. Thank you for joining today. And I'd love to hear from you, so please do leave a comment below or drop me a direct message to continue the discussion for happy clients and happy lawyers. Bye for now.